Good day, everyone. This is Pineleaf Needles, and welcome to DDO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in DDO and on the tabletop. And please welcome my co-host from Ravenloft, Draculata.
Hey, everybody.
Hello, everyone. And today we have crickets.
Yeah, exactly. We have nothing. We got nothing for you. So we're going to spend the next little while, just Pineleaf and I, just going, yeah, here we are.
Not even a chronicle?
We do have the Chronicle. That's about all we have. We have Chronicle, we have store sales, and we have our week in gaming. So if you're new to DDO Players News Podcast, this is going to be a really weird first episode for you to listen to. But welcome anyway.
Welcome anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be a really, really weird show because we just have nothing to talk about. See, the problem was a lot of the things that we could talk about are over now because they were Black Friday, Cyber Monday type deals, which are now over.
And of course, Turbine was on holiday for half the week.
Exactly. So we got no DDO news. So we should, I would say we'd have Lamania soonish, judging by, they said the update was going to come out in December. We're almost in December.
2 days, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, the show is going to be posted on November 30th, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yep, day before December. So
I would say we should have Lamania soon, so we'll have that to talk about. We'll have the update to talk about. So yeah. And then hopefully we'll have some board game news, tabletop news to talk about as well. Just right now it's that really weird time when there's nothing going on because it's like holiday time. So nobody's really announcing any new products. Or there's nothing going on because everybody's on holiday vacation or whatever. So
because who announces a new product in November? Because you'd hope to have them on sale by then.
Yeah, exactly, because you want that Christmas money.
Right.
So we'll see.
Let's then head into the Chronicle issue 216, and that's a skeleton.
That is a skeleton, and it looks like a monk getting ready to punch the skeleton in the face, which is always fun.
Unless you're the skeleton.
True. Very, very true. Kind of a sparse Chronicle this week, too. I'm telling you, it's just a weird week. The Voodoo Spice, of course, he's getting ready to start his new video series, and he's calling that A Druid's True First Life. What he's doing, and he is actually starting a new First Life Druid character from square one, so you can watch him from the very beginning all the way up, and I think he plans to actually TR it eventually as well, so you can see the whole life of the Druid. So check over and click out the trailer for Voodoo's newest video series. Over in our fansite news section, the Minions was organizing a raiding day over on Wayfinder, and that actually took place today because I watched a little bit of that. So that video should be up on the DDO YouTube channel soonish if it's not already up, so you can check that out. DDO Cast had an episode that they delved into the best rings to get in the game. So check out that episode, which was their 453rd episode. I cannot imagine doing that many episodes of the podcast. I guess we're getting there. We're at 112, so
right.
We have a long way to go, though. And then DDO Gamer is still working on that card game. He actually got to do a playtest of it. So click over and check out to see what's going on with Jeff and the DDO card game. Then the only other thing we have in our Chronicle this week, of course, is our Chronicle comment. Ooh. This week, the question is, which makes more noise? A fighter in full plate or an artificer iron defender?
Let's see. Well, the Iron Defender is guaranteed to bark every once in a while.
See, that's what I said.
So, therefore, you occasionally run into a fighter that knows how to try to be quiet, even if the armor defeats them in the end. So I'll go with the Iron Defender as noisier.
And that's what I said. I said because they bark all the time.
Yeah.
So there you go. Also, we have our official screenshot of the week, and this one comes from Ichiban Baggins, which I love the name, picnics with her faithful companion in the 296th DDO screenshot of the week. And Ichiban Baggins is a deep gnome, apparently, and she has a giant spider that looks like it's getting ready to eat her. She may or may not want to be concerned. Well, see, it says it's her pet, so I don't know. She might want to be concerned. Just saying.
Otherwise, she'll find herself hanging upside down somewhere.
Exactly. Cool screenshot, though.
All right, then let's head into our store sales. And yeah, I know all the Black Friday stuff is over, but what is still up?
20% off Astral Shards and the Guild Renown Elixirs, Guild Charters, and the Guild Airship Beacon at 50% off. The free sample of the week, which runs until December 1st, is a Jeweler's Toolkit. You get one per account when you use the coupon code BLINGITUP, BLINGITUP.
And as we said earlier, we don't have any site news, or at least all our site news was related to Black Friday or the Chronicle. We don't have anything from the dungeon and nothing from the tabletop, so it's time for our Week in Gaming.
Wow, this is like crazy, Pine Leaf. We are 7 minutes into the show, and we're doing Week in Gaming. That's awesome. Oh my, this is a weird show. Anyway, my Week in Gaming, DDO-wise, my level 14 rogue, who I am running with my friend who is playing the Wizards, I let him pick the quest we ran this week. So there were some quests that he had never run yet that he wanted to do. So we did Devil's Assault. So we successfully did that. And then he's like, I have this quest. It's called Proof is in the Poison. And my exact response was, ha 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 ha, ugh. Something like that.
And did you actually run it?
We did. We ran it on Elite, of course, because we're level 14, and I think that quest I want to say is like 6, 7. I forgot what level it is.
Oh, that means you only died 3 times then.
Actually, we didn't die at all.
Oh, okay.
He about did because I forgot what he did. I think I was getting ready to disable a trap. No, I'm sorry. He did die because I told him, I said, hold up, there's a trap. And I guess he didn't hear me because he proceeded to run anyway. And he pulled the lever and he proceeded to get killed by the trap that I had not disarmed yet. And then he was like,
happens.
Then he was like, oh yeah, that's what you were talking about. And I'm like, yeah. When the rogue says, whoa, stop, you stop. Because usually bad things are about to happen. And really, with the holiday and everything, that's really all I did in DDO. I didn't do a lot of DDO this week. Did do my tabletop campaign, though, that we are working our way through, Storm King's Thunder. My players survived 2 attacks on the Cloud Castle that they were riding in that is going to take them to their next destination, which is Tribor. They managed to survive those attacks. I did have the monk down, but I can honestly say I did not do anything to get the monk down to his death saves.
You didn't do anything.
Nope. His own wizard in his party took him out. The wizard chose to cast Ice Knife. And if you're not familiar with how Ice Knife works, Ice Knife is a spell that will do some initial damage, and then there is some AoE damage that it also does. And that AoE damage will affect anyone that is in the target radius, friend or foe.
Okay. That reminds me of one game I was GMing. Ooh, it was first edition, I believe. And we were going around and he says, all right, I cast a fireball at the opponent in the front rank.
I can see where this is going already.
And after I told him what happened, he said, but the book says the radius is 3 inches.
Oh, wow.
Which, if anyone I thought that by first edition they had changed that wording, but in the original D&D, which is what he was a veteran of, they put everything in inches so that if you're underground, an inch was equal to 10 feet, and if you're outdoors, an inch was equal to 10 yards.
Yeah, that confused me in that edition.
Yeah, that was like a real fun one. And I had actually once even seen that remark in a cartoon once. It says, "What do you mean I was hit by my own fireball? It says it's only 3." Yeah. So apparently that particular joke did not come from a vacuum.
So we've learned the moral of the story is phrasing is important.
Yes, phrasing is important.
So that's what went on there. So they have made it to Tribor. So that is what's next. So we'll see what adventures await them there. So far, we're loving Storm King's Thunder. I'm liking it as a DM because it's just kind of sandboxy, open enough to where I can add some stuff, and I actually have added a few things for them. And they seem to really be enjoying the story, and they're really trying to figure out what's going on because they're just getting small bits of information on the story. So far, really enjoying the run-through that we're doing of Storm King's Thunder. And then tabletop-wise, on Black Friday, my friends and I got together, as we always do every Black Friday for some gaming. We played Dead of Winter.
Ooh.
And I'm not sure what went on with us in Dead of Winter because it was not a typical Dead of Winter game because nobody tried to screw each other over.
Wasn't there supposed to be a traitor in there?
Well, there was, and that was me.
Yeah?
I failed miserably because
You failed miserably, all right.
I couldn't do what I needed to do. Basically, the reason why I couldn't do what I needed to do is if you're not familiar with Dead of Winter, you know that at the start of the game, you get two characters that you control, and then you may or may not pick up other people as well. But the very first round of combat, my survivor I was controlling died.
What?
Yeah, I got taken out my first round of combat. So then I was left with the dog. So I had to spend the whole entire game playing the dog.
And did the dog have a secret agenda?
Yes, actually. He did, but I failed because I couldn't search enough because everybody was getting along with each other. And we were trying to actually do what I was supposed to. I mean, do what we were supposed to win the scenario. So instead of having the dog keep searching to get the medicine that I needed to hoard, I had to attack zombies to collect samples from the zombies because I didn't want to make it obvious that I was the traitor. So yeah,
a traitorous dog.
But, yeah, I was the dog. It was awesome. And I played the new upcoming expansion for Castle Panic, which is entitled Engines of War. Look for a review on DDO Players soonish on that. I think I'll have to play a couple more times where I get a good handle on it to do the review. But look for that. It's coming soon. And other than that, that's really all I did. So, Piney, what were you up to this week?
All right, then we will begin with DDO, of course, where what we did together in the Lord's March Plaza, where we did Undermine and then Siegebreaker. And at the end of that, we reached level 14, so we spent the rest of the session doing all that leveling stuff. Then on my half-orc warlock, I went to Temple of Elementally Evil Part 2, and I have managed to do stuff that I had never managed to do before in running Temple of Elemental Evil.
Did you beat Zuggenmoy?
Well, not quite that extreme.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. All right. First off, I finally figured out how the ransack bonus works in this particular one, because I had not realized before that all the things you need to break are in the opening area, and that if you break all the breakables in the opening area, you get the ransack bonus. So I think that's the first time I recall ever getting the ransack bonus. It's possible I did when running with you, because you probably went and broke everything.
Probably. I tend to break things.
Right? And it's the first time that I recall running into the green and red dragons. I ran to both of them. So, not at once, fortunately, since the green is in earth
Well, I
and
would
the
hope
red
not.
is in fire.
Right, yeah.
So I ran into 2 dragons during the course of the run, and it's possible I might have run to a dragon before. If I did, it was probably while running with you, but I certainly, while running it solo, has never run into a dragon in the temple before. So this time I run into 2 instead. And it's also the first time that I went through all 4 nodes, because normally I just do 1 node and then head to Zuggtmoy to my inevitable death. So this time I thought, all right, let's see if I can manage to get through all 4 of them, and I did.
That's awesome.
Whee. So that went reasonably well, of course, at least until I reached Zuggtmoy's chambers, of course. Then I've also been watching a few more videos from Open Legend, so I got a pretty good idea how that works, and I was getting to learn that system a little bit better. So let's see what I did from the tabletop. And first off, a little bit of news. You remember Wyvern Games?
Yes.
We're talking about this. Well, I received a notice that they have changed their name.
And what are their names now?
Their new name is Wyvern Games.
You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, they had decided that they will fix the typo in their title.
That's hilarious.
Because I think a couple weeks ago we were talking about
yes, we were actually
the rather strange spelling of their name. Yeah. So they have changed their name to the proper spelling, and also the Wordsy, which we've talked about a couple of times. They have 2 days remaining in their Kickstarter, and they're getting pretty close to their first stretch goal. So we figure they'll probably hit at least 1 stretch goal before the end. And of course, if they have one of those common surges at the end, maybe they'll even hit 2 of them. Then, let's see, I got a number of things in the mailbag this week. And the first of these was Pandemic the Cure's first expansion, which is Experimental Meds. And you were saying earlier you've never heard of Pandemic the Cure?
I have not.
Yeah. Think of it as a DICE version of Pandemic.
Oh, okay.
So it has much the same object as Pandemic. You know, you're supposed to cure the 4 diseases.
Right.
And if you cure the 4 diseases, you win. And if you don't cure the 4 diseases, then, well, before time runs out. And since this is all with dice, the dice serve both as the cubes, and the disease dice also act as the disease cubes. So you roll them to determine which region you go in.
Oh, okay.
And that everything's divided into 6 regions, since there are 6 numbers on dice. So therefore, all North America is 1 region. So you don't have the 48 cities, you have 6 regions instead. But the game, in other ways, plays pretty much the same way. You can get epidemics, you can have outbursts and all that stuff, which could really make your day hurt. So I played twice. The first time, all I used were the new events and some of the new roles. And actually, I had a pretty good run on that one. That actually didn't go too bad, and I managed to win that one. Then I tried a second game. This was my first attempt at using the mutation challenge, because the expansion comes with 2 challenges. One of them is a 5th disease, which is the mutation challenge, and the other one causes weird things to happen at some of the regions that could make things tougher for you.
Oh, wow.
So I tried it with the mutation challenge, and I was doing pretty well at first, but, we're talking about Pandemic here.
Yeah,
and you know how Pandemic can just wake up and kick you in the teeth?
Yep, that usually happens every time I play Pandemic. It's like, hey, we're going to win. Oh, maybe not.
Right. So at the beginning, it looked like things were going pretty well. Then the dice turned against me. And because I was trying to roll because how actions work in Pandemic, the dice game, is each player has 5 dice associated with their roll they have, and you roll those dice, and that determines what actions you're able to do. So you could, in theory, do 5 actions in your turn if you roll pretty well. And, of course, if all the actions you roll are useless, or if you roll a lot of biohazards, then, yeah, you're going to have a bad day.
Yep.
And that's what sort of I started having. And eventually, I just had outbreaks happening all over the place. I can't remember which way to lose came first, because I had things vying to happen. I think they were vying for running out of dice. And when you consider that with the purple disease, you've got 60 dice instead of 48.
Holy cow.
Right. So I was vying between running out of dice and getting to my last outbreak, and all those things all happening at the same time. So yeah, really are ripped to pieces. All right. Also in my mailbag this week was Warfighter World War II, which I don't know. I don't think you're familiar with Warfighter, but
It seems like maybe we talked about it briefly, or
yeah,
maybe
it's
there was
possible.
a Kickstarter or something.
Yeah. We talked about
familiar.
a Kickstarter, right?
Okay, all right.
Right. There was a Kickstarter for Warfighter World War II, and right, that supported on that matter. There was also original Warfighter, and that was modern setting. So this time, this is a World War II version.
Oh, okay.
And I received that today. So when I got home today, I did set up a quick scenario and try to get that through. So I've set up the quickest mission, the quickest scenario I could possibly set up, so I could have time to finish it. And yeah, ambushers kept on popping out of the ground and shooting me. I said, So yeah, it didn't go too well, but I guess that's pretty much expected, seeing that's the first time I attempted the game and didn't have too much time in order to set up a good squad and all that stuff. So I will this week try to make sure I get the feeling all down more, so I can have a better chance at winning. Also, I received today my copy of Arkham Horror, the card game, which is their living card game. And I haven't had a chance to even open it yet because I was too busy getting out Warfighter and playing that.
There you go.
But yes,
you had a very good mail day today.
Yeah. Well, Experimental Meds, that came last week.
Oh, okay.
So, which is fortunate. So that gave me a chance to actually play it a couple of times over the weekend. Let's see. I also played a couple of rounds of Elder Sign Omens, and I wanted to run through the app again to test some things to see whether or not I'll be able to use OBS and maybe record a series, because I am seeing if I could switch over to OBS and seeing if it could give me some smaller file sizes than I was getting with Fraps. And I'll see about that as I work on that a little bit more. I then also decided to try another round of Deep Space D6. And I don't think you're familiar with Deep Space D6, but it's sort of a type of game similar to, maybe not quite how Castle Panic works, because I know Castle Panic, everything's going around in a circle around you. Well, in Deep Space D6, there is no sides to protect or anything like that, but you do have all these threats popping up constantly on you and trying to rip you to pieces. And I was holding myself well enough at first, but you know how random number generator sometimes decides to. It's a worker placement game, so if the workers you need at the moment aren't coming up, you got problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did go boom. And that covers what I did this week. We currently have 23 supporters on Patreon, and if you would like to help support DDO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or even be a guest with us here on an episode of DDO Players News. We do have an email this week from Karkos, and what does Karkos say?
He writes in and he says, "Hey, Pineleaf and Drac, my friend from many moons ago and an avid game player, Claire, has just launched a business with coloring word search books. I'm not asking for a shout out on the podcast, but thought you all might want to take a moment to look at the product. I looked at it. I thought it was pretty interesting. So, hey, guess what? We're giving them a shout out on the podcast. And in the show notes, I will provide a link to her website where you can order these. Kirkos does go on to say, I've just ordered the volumes 1 of the normal word search and the pictogram version as well. I'm wondering how much the pictogram word search is going to stretch my brain. To describe this very quickly, they are your regular word search type books, but instead of like circling or drawing out the words as you find them, you color them in. So it combines a coloring book and a word search book together. It's pretty interesting. It's whimsywordsearch.com is the website. And like I said, that'll be linked in the show notes. So thanks for writing in, Kirkos. And tell your friend she got a shout out on our podcast.
All right. There are 60 puzzles per book, and they are $11.95 free shipping.
It was an interesting concept, I thought. I thought it was pretty interesting. So that's why I thought, well, we'll just talk about them on the podcast a little bit. So there you go. So thanks for writing in, Kirkos.
All right. And probably a little note on this is that the creators of these has cerebral palsy, and she created these because she felt they helped soothe her, puzzles of this type. So it could also be therapeutic. And if you would like to send us an email, you can send it to podcast at ddoplayers.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, the Players Alliance at Players Ally, DDO Players at DDO Players, Draculetta at Draculetta_72, and Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needles. The Players Alliance has 4 live shows every Monday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. We have DDO Players News every Thursday at 9 p.m.-ish U.S. Eastern Time. We have XP Quest every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. We have Lotra Players News. And on last Friday of each month at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Lotra Academy After School. You join us for our live shows at ddoplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight. And this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to quest responsibly.